In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
That's right, it is perfect, fellas and ladies. It's 9 o'clock, 9:01 to be exact, on debate night. And we're going to be debating the Carolina Panthers and our fandom as we're here tonight. Now, it's the C3 Panthers Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Tonight's show, the losing streak ends and a wounded Cardinal comes to town. We got a good show tonight. As usual, the crew's in the house. We'll introduce them in just a second. But tonight we got a special guest, 9:40 Eastern Standard Time, Ed Smith, former Atlanta Falcons tight end and now radio host in Arizona and host of the Believe in Cardinals podcast, is going to be joining the show tonight to help us preview this Cardinals team coming off their first loss of the season, where Kyler Murray looked human for once. And we'll try to figure out why Isaiah Simmons is only playing 10 snaps a game at this point. And I got some other things I want to know about injuries, Cliff Kingsbury, why they don't run the ball at all, or it feels like that. So Ed Smith, you can find him at Ed Smith Speaks on Twitter. He'll be joining us at 9:40. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up button if you're in the chat room. We appreciate it. The number is 252-228-5098. You can be a part of the C3 Panthers podcast. And now let me change over this scene right here. I can put up y'all's beautiful mugs. Cody Lashney, my man, my co-host. How you doing, my friend?
Tony Dunn, when I'm not fighting people off on Twitter, man, I'm trying to be the best Panther fan I can be. Apparently, I'm not good enough of one, but it don't matter, man, because you know what? It's Tuesday night, and there's nothing I'd rather be doing than talking about Panthers football with my homeboys here on the C3 Carolina Cat Chronicles podcast. But also, we got the most lit fans in all of YouTube, Tony Dunn. We got 10 Tizzy, Sarah Taylor, Underground West, Joey the Blind Panther, Esquivel, Trill One, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Yes, Joey the Blind Panther, Ed Smith is going to be in the house tonight. That's what's up. So that's going to be at 9:40. We've also got CK, the master streamer, in the house. What's up, my friend?
You know, just hanging out. Just wanting to hang out with you guys and have some conversations about what's going to be happening with this game coming up and, you know, living the dream.
You know, I needed you guys tonight. I've been like COVID melancholy today, so it's nice to be hanging out with my peeps in the chat room as well as here. We got Greg, the Bat Daddy, in the house. What's up, man?
Oh, man.
My tag team partner right here. Me and Greg go hard in the paint for one another.
Living the dream, man. It's been a crazy day. Like Cody says, man, I'm just here to talk Panthers football. I'm a Panthers fan here to talk Panthers football, having a good time. So,
but they say we're not Panthers.
Right.
But whatever.
Everybody's entitled to an opinion.
You know, and we'll talk at some point, I guess. I don't really want to talk about it, to be honest. And the reason I don't want to talk about it,
I don't care either.
The reason I don't want to talk about it is because, first of all, I love like football conversation, and I've always been annoyed by the real fan talk. And that is like, and I just feel like this is, and maybe this is just because I'm trying to get people to listen to me talk about something I obviously don't know a lot about. And the reason I say I don't know a lot about it is if you looked at my picks from this past week, you would go, this guy don't know squat about football. But I don't know. I don't feel like you have to. I don't know a lot about the technical components, like, well, that guy's under center, this and that is. But I do have I feel like a decent eye test for football, and I'm like, that player is pretty good. That player is right, and I just feel like this is with a fan base as young and as fragile as the Carolina Panthers fan base, and in many ways, as when I say fragile, is that I get very concerned what long-term losing could do to an organization like ours, because we don't have generations of football fans. In fact, we are just hitting the point now where people have been Panther fans their entire life. That's just possible right now. So I've always been like this, is that if you put one Panther hat on, if you cheer one time for them, we'll take you. Get on the fandom wagon. We'll take part-time fans, full-time fans, expert fans, fake fans, right? Whatever it may be.
You're not in a position to be turning any kind of fan away.
Right.
At all. Hey, if you want to be a part of this Panthers football team, baby, we're letting everybody on. Come on and keep pounding with us.
Can we show how good of a Panthers fans we are? We're going to say this to the people that are bandwagon fans. If you want to not be considered a bandwagon fan in 3 years when the Panthers win a Super Bowl, hop on the train now.
Yeah,
hop on the train this year,
Yeah.
and then you'll be able to say, "Look, I was cheering for them back in 2020. Like, I mean, I've been here." Anyway,
and I think too, the other thing with fandom, and I said I didn't want to talk about it. What are we doing? We're talking about it.
That's
Is that I think that it's kind of like I've even gotten upset. It's like when I get upset on both sides of the argument where people get so upset if you want to like Cam still or talk about him, or if you want to handle your stuff your way. You know, my wife, every time we get, well, not every time, we've been in our share of arguments over the last 20 years together as a couple, and sometimes she says, you can't tell me how to feel. And I'll say, your feelings right now may be ridiculous. I think they're ridiculous. I think they're illogical. But she says this, they may be illogical. But that's how I feel. Maybe that's too snowflakey for the world. You know, maybe that is like the thing. Is this? I just say, don't be sensitive, folks. And I won't say sensitive because I'm very sensitive. What I would say is, I feel like the internet makes us want to be right all the time.
100%.
And I got to say, I'm actually going to call out Just Joan for this, who is a big Giant Panther fan. She's upset with me right now, and I saw it because Twitter has the algorithm to make you upset. The Twitter algorithm, what it will do is show you tweets of things that they know you're going to argue about. So I kind of got into it about, somebody asked, why is it that the coaches have to wear the mask on the sidelines when they're getting tested at the same rate as players? And I said, it's because it's for show. It's a PR look right there, is that if these players can be fucking running around with no mask on, spitting and spittling and all of this, what is that mask of the guy right there who's with them all week doing that's any different than theirs? And Just Joan got upset with me. And then today, she was like, oh, well, reason this is like it's about being responsible adults and setting an example. All right, maybe if that's it, then that's at the bottom of the list. What's at the top of the list is cash money and the perception of the shield when it comes to the NFL. Now, if you want to wear your mask, I'm cool. I'm not even saying don't wear a mask. I don't even really care. Then today, Twitter puts up a tweet, and it was when Tennessee got hit with the COVID, the Titans or somebody, I think the Titans got hit with it. And she was like, and people were just saying to me that you don't need to wear a mask. And I was like, I was about to respond. I said, nope, not doing it. I don't really care that much. I don't really care that much to like prove or convince, which is strange and ironic since I have a podcast. Because that means I kind of do care enough to convince in a vote.
The difference is your podcast is not to tell people this is how you have to feel. Your podcast is to put out how you feel, have people react to it, and discuss.
And
that's the point.
For all Panther fans to say how they feel. Again, this is a platform for fans. How boring would it be if you had all of us saying the same exact bullshit? If me and Greg thought the same thing. Like I've been, for the most part, since we've hired Matt Rhule, I've been pretty high on Matt Rhule and pretty positive on him. Greg, not so much. You're going to get a good balance between all the guys here on the show. And again, when we say things, it's for we want the best for the football team. Like we're not, trying to tear down the Carolina Panthers. We do this because we love Carolina Panther football. So it's like sometimes people just got to calm down a little bit. And when you hear honesty, don't get mad at it. Just take it for what it is. If we're wrong, then we're wrong. But you're going to get our honest opinion, and that's why we hope you guys continue to come back.
I think one other thing too is that there is this expectation that because we're a football podcast, that we believe we're football experts.
No, we've always never claimed that.
And I have always said from the beginning, I'm not a football expert. I'm an expert football fan.
Right, there you go.
And what I mean by that is I'm going to live and die and cry on Sundays by the Panthers. And I'm going to love players. I'm going to hate players. Right? It's like there's an emotional component to me. So, no, I'm not trying to be a GM. I'm not trying to be the coach. I'm just going to say this is how I feel about it. Now, I don't know. All right, let's talk about that as we are. Well, here, look, we're 11 minutes in, and I need to tell you guys that if you want to try to be an expert better, which I don't say you should try to be an expert better. I should say you should be a casual better. You go to mybookie.ag, you use the promo code OVERTIME. They'll match your first deposit up to $1,000. Then on Wednesday nights, you can hang out with Tony Dunn. I post it on Thursdays. It's not a live show, so actually you're going to have to wait till Thursday. Picking with the professor, right? And I'm going to tell you what I think the winning picks are for me. Week 1, I gave 4 picks. I went 2-2. Week 2, not so good. 1 and 2. So it was week 3, excuse me. So I did 3 picks in week 3. I'll probably try to do 4 picks in week 4. I don't think I'll probably stop that trend at some point. But you can go to mybookie.ag and you can tune in on Thursdays on the podcast and on YouTube, picking with the professor. And if I'm super cool, I'll get it up Wednesday night. What I did learn is a couple of things about betting. Is that I don't know what to do, but I'm learning from my mistakes. And that is don't fuck with Atlanta. Don't mess with Atlanta because they suck, right? I would have been 2-1 if Atlanta didn't beat Atlanta, right? But sadly, they were so bad that they let the Bears beat them. That's how bad they were. Now, but on top of that, I also learned that Dwayne Haskins is awful no matter what the spread is. So I'm learning, and I'll get better as the season goes on. MyBookie.ag, picking with the professor on Wednesdays. We're going to be talking with Rafael Esparza from MyBookie.ag. Don't forget to use the promo code OVERTIME. Cody, what was that stat you were telling me about Atlanta in the 15-point fourth quarter?
No team in the history of the NFL had ever blown 2 fourth-quarter leads of more than 15 points. Atlanta did it in 2 back-to-back weeks. That's a different kind of dumpster fire down there they got going on in Atlanta, bro.
I don't even know what even to call that. Here is that you want to talk about real fans? You actually got to say Atlanta fans are real fans.
Yeah, you die hard.
Because they
all
have
5 of them,
all 5 of them. But God, they have to deal with that shit. We would have every Panther PSL owner would have turned the channel.
You know what's frustrating is like the Falcons give them a taste, right? Every single time. Every year they have a good team. Like they have a good team. Like on paper, they have a phenomenal team outside of maybe a few pieces that they might be missing. But they always and that's why these fans are able to stick around because they're like, this is going to be the year. This is it. And then they see like these incredible first half performances and they're like, oh yeah, here we go. This is going to happen. And then they blow that
choke artists. That's
oh
what
my God.
Tin Tizzy said. Who said it? No, it was Underground West. Atlanta choke artists. I mean, they would make the worst porn.
Have y'all thought about, Cody, has the idea crossed through your head about Trevor Lawrence and black and red?
Okay, so it's only because as of right now, so if the season were to end today, the Falcons would have the number 1 pick.
Right.
So, dude, that's nightmare fuel, homie.
Do you think they would take, if they got that, do you think they take him?
I mean, I don't know, dude. It's like
Matt Ryan is getting to the end of his career. I mean, not end of his career. He's got a few good years left, but
and Trevor is from Georgia too. I don't know, man.
Y'all need to get Trevor Lawrence out of y'all's head. It's not happening now. We got it.
Oh, yeah.
We are out of the Trevor Lawrence running after this past week.
Have you seen the rest of our schedule?
Bro, okay,
I don't care. We are 1 win. First of all, we're tied for second in the division. Let's go ahead and put that out there.
There you go. I'm 1 win closer to winning that bet too, Tony. 1 win closer.
1 win closer. You got 5 more to go, I think.
5 more to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a long 5 wins to hoe.
Right.
But I would say is that like there's some real teams that are far worse than us. And the Giants are maybe the pick. Them and the Jets are the pick of the litter. The 2 New York teams are god awful.
The problem is they have easier schedules than we do. If you look,
it doesn't matter. They are so bad. They don't even. We look competent. We look competent. We actually play football games. Like I mean, we're taking a guy who is basically a peg leg in Teddy Bridgewater, and we are okay. I mean,
let me ask you guys.
I mean, we're just like, hey, it's like we're not fumbling the ball insanely or terrible on special teams. Arguably, this team is performing better than Ron Rivera's team did last year in the 3-4.
How do you guys feel about the fact that we got Matt Rhule now instead of even Judge Rhule, or like whatever that guy's name is?
Judge. Yeah.
Joe Judge, yeah.
Look, I am at the point right now where the Panthers are playing football and like well enough where I can't like completely smash them and talk trash, but I also can't be excited.
Yeah,
you know,
well, you gotta give them time. You gotta give them time.
5 field goals, 5 red zone trips, and no touchdowns. I mean,
we are the
like I mean, I can't get excited about that.
Guess who the 2 teams that are worse than us on third down and in the red zone?
No, not third down. Third down, we're pretty efficient.
Third down, we are efficient.
Yeah. Third down
is just getting inside that 20-yard line, man.
It's the Giants and the Jets.
Put it in the pay dirt, you know.
Joey Esquivel said that if the Falcons take Trevor Lawrence, Cody will be saying it's nothing but a dome quarterback by the end of his rookie contract. Maybe so, man. But listen, can I just say, I don't care if all of you disagree with me. Listen, we might, luck up and win a few games, but to just assume that there's no way the Panthers can get the number 1 pick at 2 or 3 wins, like, there's too much football left. Just like we can't say that we're definitely going to have the number 1 pick, we can't say that we're not.
You're right. You're right. We're not out of the running, but each week we look less and less. We look more competent than several other teams. And I gotta say this is that the damn Bears are 3-0, and they have to be the worst 3-0 team in the history of the world.
Yeah.
We
look like a 6-win team. We look like, honestly, we look like a 6-win team, which I think is what I
That's
bet
what
on.
you've kept saying. That's what I don't think we're that good. Is that, and I don't know. Is that I think that the internet likes to be extremists, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like everything sucks or everything is great. Mm-hmm. And I know that, and you guys gotta give Cody a little space on this. Is Cody has been saying that he's actively does not want a 7-9 team or a 6. It's like that
all
is.
Agree with that.
And so if there's been consistency there, I think some people, and yes, he is slightly, when the Panthers won, was slightly disappointed. You could hear it. But you have to remember, though, it's because of the comments and the position that it's so hard to move the needle with the 8-8 team, which the Panthers historically have been.
And now, like, we're in this thing because of COVID, but like, if we were able to like sell tickets, like, how many people are showing up to watch Teddy Bridgewater? Like,
I would go.
I'm not gonna lie. If you can give me a cheap ticket, I'm going to go see the game.
I'm going.
It's
been exciting. It's been exciting. Like, I'm not going to see Teddy Bridgewater. Neither, I'm going to see the Carolina Panthers.
Listen to what you just said, though. If someone gave you a cheap ticket, you'd be like, I'm talking about
Well, we have to travel from out of town, bro.
No, but what I'm saying is if the team, no, that adds to my point more. Let's say this year we're 8-8, right? And Teddy Bridgewater going into the next year is our starter again, going into 2021. Are you guys pumped about driving all that way and spending money to come see a game when you have a quarterback that, I mean, listen, pretty much Teddy hasn't been bad. But he hasn't been great either, and he does miss passes, and he's afraid to push the ball down the field on a consistent basis. So
he hasn't been good. He hasn't been good either. The thing with Teddy is that he is better than Kyle Allen. He's better than Kyle Allen. Like he can do
100% better. 100%.
How? I mean, pocket presence, yes, but
okay, it goes through his reads, some different things. It's like he
has more confidence.
Yeah, and he doesn't
the results. But I mean, all that is nothing. Like, I mean, I hear so many people, and I hate to break this down to the LeBron James and Michael Jordan stat, talk about nothing else but numbers. Like, it's great, but in the end, is he winning? Like, he's not.
He did.
You know, well, he did.
Yeah,
he did.
You're right.
I do want to point out this.
I'm not trying to talk
Here's
down
one
on
number stat, Daddy, is Russell Wilson, after 3 games, has more touchdowns than Teddy Bridgewater has ever thrown in a season.
I believe that. Russell Wilson's MVP this year.
He's only, I think his max is he's thrown 14 touchdowns, Teddy Bridgewater. And now, I mean, he was young, but here's the deal: nobody's going to be excited to go see Teddy. Nobody's excited to go see that. To answer the question, Cody.
But as a fan, if I get the opportunity to go see a game, I'm going to go see the game. You know, because I enjoy going to the game. I enjoy being in the stadium down in Charlotte. Cody will do the post game at your house together, man. Like, I'm only an hour away from Charlotte, so if I get the opportunity, yes, I'd love to go, no matter who the quarterback is, because I've always done that.
What's up, Mike Vela?
I'll be excited for it.
It's for me. You know, one of the best games I ever went to in my life was a 33-3 blowout where the Saints just destroyed us. We made it on the Jumbotron twice. One of the girls with us got $250 worth of airplane vouchers. The people in front of us got one of the Saints played. Now they were Saints fans. They got one of the Saints players gave them a pair of the receiver gloves. I yelled at Drew Brees and he laughed. He chuckled when I said that his wife was a better actress than he was an actor. He laughed at that. He was slaying us, and we sat on the 45-yard line for like $60, 4 rows deep.
Here's my goal, right? Not only just with this, but to, this at some point, I want this podcast, meaning Tony, since you're the sole owner of it, to have 4 PSLs, and we all go to the game, every single home game, every year.
Yeah,
live stream from the home game.
Or even if we went to like 3/4 of them and then gave away tickets.
Yeah. I mean,
or go 2 and 2. We probably should start with two PSLs, and then we'll rotate.
Alternate games,
you know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot for me to go. It's a lot. It's a long way. It's like me and my friend always talk about this. He's a big Redskins fan, and we both secretly don't like.
Hey, that's a racial slur now. They're the Washington
football team, bro. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Louise, wear your mask.
We secretly don't like going to the games. And like we enjoy being at the games. We enjoy the experience of the game. But I tell you a couple of things about being at a game. Number one, I never remember it right. And it's not because I'm just getting hammered. It's like it's an emotional experience.
Yeah.
You're cheering, you're high-fiving in your house.
You're not really,
And it goes by so fast, too.
Yeah. It's hot. It's cold. Now, that's all part of being that hardcore fan. I get that, too. But replay is awesome. Going to be able to take a leak when you want to is awesome. Like all of these things. And for me, it's the 4-hour drive. And I don't like to take Monday off from work. Right. You know, and so you got to beat ass home. I get home at midnight, and it's been like this ridiculously long day. It's a lot. And then it's always a lot of money. A ton of money. But, Panthers guy at FSU says not into politics, but this debate is nuts.
Yeah, I'm watching.
I
going
wanna
through
turn that
Twitter
on.
right now,
Right.
and I'm
Oh,
just like,
gosh.
So listen, I just like popped it on YouTube for a second and I unmuted it, and it's just them talking over each other. Like that's all. It's just Joe Biden fighting for airtime because Donald Trump will not shut the fuck up, and that's all it's ever going to look like. That's all the debates are ever going to be. You're not going to glean anything from either of them.
again, Donald Trump is brilliant because he's doing exactly what he needs to do to get Biden emotional, and Biden is going to do what Biden does best and say something stupid.
Yeah.
You're going to piss him off.
Yeah. I told
And
everybody
we're all so numb to Trump saying stupid stuff.
right.
Oh,
So he could
I told
say
her-
stupid, and you're like, well, that's just Trump.
Yeah.
dude, I'm loving
told
this. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
It's
I told
not.
everybody to work.
Oh, go ahead.
I told everybody to work today. A great drinking game would be every time Donald Trump says wrong or fake news, whatever, drink. And every time Biden forgets where he is or what he's doing, drink.
Oh, you might
And
get alcohol
15
poisoning.
minutes in, you'll be passed out.
Yeah, you might
That'll be
get
insane.
alcohol poisoning.
So-
That's don't do that. That might kill someone. I don't advise that.
All right, let's go back. I do want to say I went back and I'm trying to watch the football game. I was rewatching the game, and I was probably least impressed with Teddy Bridgewater this week out of all the weeks, except for the week that he had the turnover. The turnovers were just I know, and Greg's like, and he's like, if your aunt had nuts, she'd be your uncle. No. So you got to say he had those turnovers. But in this game, it was just so he was not the life of the Mike Davis was the life of that offense. So like we flogged the Teddy Bridgewater to death, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about some other things that were concerning about this, and one that has been raging in this Twitter debate. Yeah, a debate. What the hell's a debate? The left tackle. Okungau, they put in Greg Little, and the coach talked him up afterwards, and you almost felt like that was him saying of a word of encouragement to a guy that he didn't believe in.
It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing at this point. If any of you have looked, again, we need to figure out a way for us to play clips fast. But Greg Little, dude, just looked. He looked like the guy that I watched college film on. I was thorough on Draft Tech and on Twitter. I hated that pick when we did it because not only could we have gotten him later, but we traded picks away to go up and get Greg Little. It's his second year in the NFL, and he looks lost. Yeah. I mean, not even kind of good. I mean, dude, it goes back to Marty Herney. This dude has to get out the door, y'all. This is going to hold our team back the more he continues to evaluate these players wrong, and then it hurts our franchise for who knows how long because of it. Our left tackle spot is going to be an issue moving forward. Okung only has a year, this year, right? Or is it 2? No, I believe it's just this
No, it's
year.
just one. It's just one. Like we're in the point where we have to pick. That's probably the reason we're going to have to not be getting Trevor Lawrence.
I agree with you on that. Like it might be a good, yeah. If we win 4 or 5 games, it might be the best idea to try to get the best left tackle we can and draft quarterback next year.
Which, to be honest, is probably like 6 years overdue.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it up right now. These are the 2 plays. They're going up. I'm getting it. Here we go. 2 plays, and you can send me the link to the other one. This is just Greg Little falling down, basically, or letting people by.
Play the one that I sent to you on in our message chat.
Okay.
Because there's one that shows his college film and film of his game this past Sunday.
All right, you talk. Tell me what you saw while I put it up because I gotta go.
Oh, it's not up. Okay. Yeah. Listen. I mean, he has no toughness to him. I mean, if you're an offensive lineman, you're going against the best edge rushers, in the NFL. I mean, he doesn't even look like he has any idea what he's doing out there. But that's not even a serviceable backup. That's the reason why he didn't finish the game. It was because he just was getting torched out there the entire time. It's embarrassing at this
It's up
point.
right now. I got it playing. And basically, he just runs around. In this college tape, he just runs past the defenders.
Yeah, and dude, even when he's run blocking, there is no there's no toughness to him. He doesn't
Which
know how
that
to use
was
his
your
legs.
major criticism of him
Yes.
coming out, was that he was a competent pass blocker, but it was in the run blocking game. And it turns out, though, he's not. And this is sad, because what the problem is this, and this goes back, and this I'm gonna go back, and we'll just finish on this note when it comes to Marty Hurney. Our guest is gonna be joining us in 8 minutes. We'll sneak in a couple cat calls before we get to him. The idea is this, is that I've been a fan of what Marty's done since he's come here in free agency. And my other thing is because I think he's done pretty well in free agency. Now, it hasn't always worked out, and that's not all on him. Number one, Brashard Breeland, that was going to be a big deal to our defense, and then he had that crazy foot thing, and then at the last minute we were able to get Deandre Hopkins. That was a big recovery in a time when you miss you push your chips in, and then the damn police raid the poker game, and then you got to try to play the next hand. So that was Deandre Hopkins was a disappointment, but in theory, it was a decent move. The other one was the Gerald McCoy year, which we thought was going to work, and then KK got hurt. And at that point, so his free agency acquisitions have been okay since he came back in the second term. The problem, though, is that some of the mid rounds and the later rounds have not worked. And that has probably been the real story of Marty Hurney. You think of this.
His entire career.
Yes. Greg Little. But let's talk about some other examples, and that being Golden. Go back and look at the 2018 draft. I bet you there's like nobody on the team.
No, not at all. I mean, what? Maybe the 2018 draft?
Was it 18? Well, that wasn't McCaffrey.
Yeah,
he was 2017, right?
Yeah, 2017, 18 was DJ Moore, and 19 was Ryan Lynch.
Panthers 2018 draft. Let's see what it is real quick. Okay, DJ Moore, Dante Jackson. Then we got Rashawn Golden, Ian Thomas, Marquise Haynes. Like, not the worst. Kendrick Norton, Andre Smith. He's not there. And then the 2019 draft was Panthers draft was Brian Birds. This is the bad one. This is the worst.
Yeah.
Brian Burns, Greg Little, Will Greer, Christian Miller, Jordan Scarlett, Dennis Daly.
Terrible. And now, Christian Miller, I liked him a lot. He's not even playing this year. Greg Little was terrible. Will Greer was a wasted pick because guess what? We have no idea who the backup is going to be.
Week to week.
It's not him. It's not him. He's just holding a clipboard.
No, listen, PJ Walker has been inactive the last 2 weeks.
I know it literally is him, but he's not even really about, like, you don't ever want Will Greer to step on the field.
Dude, I'm telling you, we have not. I'm not saying that I'm glad that we picked him, right? That's not the point of this statement that I'm about to make. But the guy was given an opportunity last year in the midst of one of the worst seasons that we've had as an organization, behind one of the worst offensive lines with one of the worst defenses. He was put into one of the. I mean, you could not put a rookie quarterback, even though we were all calling for it because we thought maybe this is going to be some magical thing that he's able to pull out of a hat. And I think it would be tough for anybody to do that. But
you could have picked him in the 6th, though.
Yeah, well, I'm whether or not I'm happy with the pick or not is different. But to say he's not a backup, I think that he 100% has the tools that he needs to be an effective backup in this league. We had him on a limited number of snaps that we saw him behind one of the worst offenses that was being called in the NFL last year. And that's where, and it was only for 2 games, and these were trash time games when everybody already knew we were out of the hunt for anything. So I mean, he came in.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that to say that this new, I like PJ Walker. I saw what he did in the XFL, but there was a reason that PJ Walker was not signed in the NFL at that moment in time, right?
Yeah.
There is a correlation.
I think neither of them are worthy to really be long-term players in the NFL. That's my thing.
I don't know. We haven't seen enough from Greer. Greer was not a bad, like, let's go ahead and put the reality out there. He was given a really shitty opportunity. And you look at all the other people that were drafted in later rounds that were quarterbacks that worked out. I mean, there's a lot out there that exists. Tom Brady is obviously the one everybody wants to point at. I think it's only fair that he has an opportunity because he had the tools to be able to even be looked at by multiple teams. We just went ahead and picked him where we thought we needed to pick him in order to be able to get him back, for him to not be gone.
And if we can continue to compound this, Hakeem Butler, who I was telling you about on the podcast last Sunday, he was on the practice squad. It's not anymore because the Eagles picked him up and they already have ideas on how they're going to use him at tight end. Then again, we have no depth behind Russell Okung. So if Greg Little has to be up there, it's not good. We have, a guy who has only proven to be a career backup at quarterback. Again, how many times am I going to hear, oh, well, Marty Herney picks great in the first round. Well, okay, there are more picks than that. You have to hit on a whole draft. And he never does that.
He hasn't. He hasn't had a lot of luck there. And look, and we're paying, though, we're paying for all of this, a culmination of mediocre to bad drafts.
It adds
up. And
up.
at the time, and this is the one thing, is I did see Matt Rhule talk about this, is that he said if you see when you see Isaiah Simmons out there, when you see Derek Brown out there, and when you see, who was the third one he mentioned? No, that we got 3 picks this year. Jeremy Chin, thank you. Did I say Isaiah Simmons?
You did.
I thought you did. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought you were saying.
So Derek Brown, Jeremy Chin, and the third one. Who was the third one he referenced?
Jeter Gross-Matos?
Yes, he said those. He said, I think Marty Herney did pretty good in the draft. We felt the same exact way in 2015 with Devin Funchess, with who else did we get?
Devin Funchess was our second round.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is in 2015, they did a redraft at the end of the year. At Trey Boston, all of this, and it was like the best draft when they did the redraft at the end of the year. 1 year later, it was trash.
Yeah.
So no matter what the rookies do this year, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're phenomenal or if they're shitty. We cannot really determine what these players are going to look like in 5 years or 2 years. It takes 3 years to find out if a draft is to really give it a good evaluation.
Yeah. Coaching 100% goes into that. Like if you look at, let's also take a gander down south to our rivals in the NFC South, and that is New Orleans Saints. Back in the same year we drafted Christian McCaffrey, they got Alvin Kamara, right? They got they had just one of the best draft classes of any decade. Marshawn Lattimore,
Ryan Ramczyk.
Williams wasn't there, right?
They killed it. They got Alex Anzalone. All those guys are still on the football team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, listen, I don't mean to cut you off. All I want to say is that Panther fans need to get to the point where we want Marty Herney fired as bad as we wanted Ron Rivera fired. Because even though you're not seeing it all the time like you do with a coach, when you have a GM that's stopping you, dude, that's ruining your team for the next few years for multiple different reasons.
Well, we're gonna have to get, and we'll talk plenty about this later about the structure and redoing the structure. But right now, I want to remind everybody: go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. Be a part of the podcast by calling in at 252-228-5098. Now, I'd like to cue in our guests. We've got Ed Smith from the Believe Podcast Network, former NFL tight end for the Atlanta Falcons. We're not a fan of the Falcons, but we are a fan of you, Ed. Welcome to the C3 Panthers podcast.
Hey, great to join you, gentlemen, and good to be talking some football here. I think I joined you guys last year too.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
We had a great conversation.
Yeah, loved you guys, man. Keep up the great work, but good to be here with you tonight.
Happy to have you back.
So we brought you on because the Panthers are going to be hosting the Arizona Cardinals, and the Cardinals are coming off their first loss of the season while we're coming off our first win in 10 games. But the first win of this year and the first win of the Matt Rhule season, I got to say, I was upset. I hate the Lions. I'm not a Lions believer. They have burned me too many times. But, boy, they burned you guys at the last second. What happened in that game, Ed?
It was one of those, I won't call it a trap game, but I was preaching to everybody out here, because we got high after the San Francisco win. And, and obviously we took care of our business with the Washington football team, and everybody was all ready to go out and buy their Super Bowl tickets. And I was like, slow to roll. It's still a work in progress, and we have looked impressive, especially in those first two games. But that Detroit Lions team always seems to give us trouble, and Matt Stafford always worries me. And I just had that kind of feeling that this would be that game where everybody was kind of already looking ahead at the schedule, thinking, we got Carolina coming up next, and we got this one coming. We could go into our bye week 5-0, and
right.
And I think we might have just got a little bit ahead of ourselves, and we let Matt come in here and get comfortable, especially in the second half. And they just kind of, just kept nickel and diming and staying in the game. We never put them away, made a few mistakes ourselves. Kyler uncharacteristically with 3 interceptions in the game.
Could have had 4.
Should have
had 4, yeah.
And we just let them hang around. And that was one of those games that I always look back on the schedule. Those are the must wins because you're supposed to win those ones. And we let that one slip from our fingers.
My question, and I know the guys want to get in on this. We got a big panel that's excited to learn about this Arizona team. But my question about this is, now I've watched this game. I went back and rewatched it, and then I've glanced at some of the Arizona games through, leading up. I went and looked at the playbook, right, or the game book, and I was surprised that you guys actually ran the ball as many times as you have this season, because it feels like you guys throw almost every down. Like my question, and before I even looked at the attempts, and I was a little surprised that it's as balanced as it is, because it didn't feel like that. But I wanted to ask you, can you win in the NFL without running the ball consistently, or is this the new NFL? Because it feels like you guys are just working out of the shotgun, and all the rushing is coming from Kyler Murray, and that's about it.
Well, and that's a great observation. And one of the flaws of Kyler Murray is not anything that he can control, is a little bit about his height.
Right.
And, under center at that height and then trying to drop back, that just causes him more issues. So that's why the majority of our snaps, in my opinion, are out of shotgun, and it does stunt our running game a little bit. It's tougher to run out of the shotgun. Everything is kind of that pistol or, running back next to you, rather than having a guy 7 yards deep getting that downhill run, or, trying to get the corner, with pitches and stuff like that. So, part of that is just I think the nature of his size. And then the other thing with our running game, it is a lot of Kyler Murray, and not necessarily by design. It's by scramble.
Right. Right.
He does it judiciously. He's not out there like we saw what happened with Lamar Jackson last night. Their whole attack is based around design runs and nothing around the pass game for the most part. And when you shut that down, it's total chaos. With Kyler, he's been very good with if he feels pressure, he's not afraid to get down even in the pocket, but he'll scramble, and he's so quick and fast. He'll elude the rush, get out, get him 5, 6, 7, 8, and then get down. So, that's kind of been our running game to this point. I'm still waiting for, the explosion of Kenyon Drake like we had last year when he first got here. But, like I said, I think it's all still a work in progress. But, yeah, a lot of our running game is going to revolve around Kyler.
And if I'm right, this is the first year that, well, I mean, I know it's only his second year, so we have a small sample set. He didn't really run a ton last year, right? This was the first time he had a 100-yard game or something like that.
Yeah, and I think that's, I think they're trying to keep him safe out there. You guys know there's a lot of big problems out there. You start running around too much, and Kyler's already slight in terms of his stature. And they know, for him, it's not about a lot of design runs, about scramble. And I think he's going to develop just like a Russell Wilson, where he eludes just enough to maybe get the ball out. And when he feels pressure, he'll, make the move to get out. But he doesn't want to be out there in the open field taking on these big, huge hits. So, that's kind of going to be his style. And I prefer it that way, because I don't want him turning into a Lamar Jackson, that type of runner, because he'll never survive out there.
Right. All right, I'm going to pass the mic to you, Cody.
So, Ed, listen, man, we haven't had a guest on here that I've been so excited to talk to than you, man, because I got some burning questions for you, man. I don't know if you can see it over my shoulder, but I got a Clemson championship banner, man. I'm a diehard, and you probably already know where I'm going with this, man. I was really, really, really badly wanting Isaiah Simmons to be a Carolina Panther, right? And then I made that known on our draft show. But now, dude, fans of our show, they do not stop giving me crap, man, because they keep on showing me the snap counts that Isaiah has been on the field, that he's not coming off the bench. Like, people are already labeling him, oh, he's a bust. We told you that gadget player that you put everywhere would never work. I'm trying to find some kind of clarity. Is it the coaching staff? Is he making rookie mistakes? Shed some kind of light on Isaiah Simmons. What's happening, and what's your hope for him going forward in this Arizona defense?
That is a great question, Cody, and I can assure you that the talent is there. It's just a matter of everybody has to remember, with COVID and everything we experienced this year, there was no off season. There was no rookie mini camps. There was no opportunity to be in the facility, soaking it up, getting in the playbook. Then you get to training camp, it's an abbreviated version, and then you don't have any preseason games. I've been talking about it all the way through the off season for any of these rookies coming into this season, Cody. It's going to, imagine, you want to get on a treadmill, right? And you don't just get on it at 3 and it's, flat. You're going to jump on a treadmill at speed of 12 and elevation of 15, right? So imagine these guys played college football last year. Their first NFL experience is going to not be in, preseason or anything like that. We're literally just going to throw you out there. And the speed of the game, people don't understand how fast the game is during the regular season. So, you have to give these guys some time. And I actually like what the Cardinals are doing, because they're not throwing him to the wolves. I think if you spoon feed him, use him situationally, he's going to grow into this. And he's looked like a rookie out there. No mistakes about that. But it's just because he has not had a chance to adjust to the speed of the game. He's still trying to learn the playbook. Everything is moving real fast. The ability, the talent is there. It's just a matter of time. And it might take deep into the season before he starts looking to form. But I'm glad we got the pick and you guys didn't get it, Cody.
Well, we got Derek Brown, and a lot of people are excited about Derek Brown Derek Brown's been the opposite of Isaiah Simmons. We've needed Derek Brown to play every snap, it seems like, from the beginning, and he's maybe a little bit easier of a job up the middle with the space eating, tackling things. But you saw Isaiah Simmons only had 10 snaps in this last game. The question just to follow up on that is there anything does that say anything about maybe some of the other players on the team that you guys aren't as weak there at linebacker, or, because, the linebacking group doesn't seem, you got, was it Hassan Reddick used to be with Detroit.
And Tony, if I can add on to that question too, how, Ed, would you say, does the Arizona defense intend to use him? Because coming out of college, and rightfully so. I've watched him for 3 years at Clemson. They used him literally everywhere. They would take advantage of matchups and just put Isaiah Simmons in a bunch of different places. I had heard that the Cardinals intend to play him as a full-time linebacker. I don't know if that was true or not. How would you say the that Isaiah Simmons fits into that defense and into their future plans?
Ideally, he's going to be used as a Swiss Army knife, and that's why I think they're kind of like slowly getting him incorporated, because you might find him in a linebacker position, you might find him maybe playing a little deeper in the secondary. Then we've had troubles covering tight ends for a long time out here. They could use him as a rover to cover tight ends, and that's why I think it's like a slow process with him, because it's not like just putting some, put your hand in the ground and go get the quarterback, or shoot this gap. They've probably overloaded him with information. It's just going to take him some time, because when he does develop, you're going to see this dude all over the place. So you can't zero in, on where he's going to be and what his role is going to be. So I think that's probably the biggest issue, is like, it's not just, he's not going to be one of this or that. They're kind of grooming him. And actually, I say it again, I'm glad they're bringing him along slowly, because you can really mess with a young man's confidence. You throw him out there, and he doesn't know what he's doing, and then not able to do it either, because he's now playing against men and not boys anymore.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have asked you that, because I know that a lot of the talk about him is wherever he gets drafted, is the coaching staff going to be in a position to actually use him that way, like a defensive Swiss Army knife. And I'm happy to hear that you feel that the Cardinals intend to do that, because
absolutely,
I believe that he does have the potential to really be an all-around weapon that you can put all over the field.
It sounds like it's you can run a 4-3, but you gotta learn to play fast, right? And that's where and when you're in the open field, it's so much easier to see when you're not playing fast. Or when Raheem Mostert, the sprinter, runs by you. It's really it's glaring at that point. So it's kind of hard to cover up those warts. We got one question from the chat room, though, that I think is interesting before I want to continue with the defense a little bit. But he's asking about injuries on the Cardinals, because the Panthers right now, we've had problems with injury on the offensive line. Strangely, we've been pretty good at it. We got a little Dante Jackson's got a flat tire sort of ankle injury, and he's like the corner we need. So what is the injury status for the Cardinals at this point, and come on the road heading into Carolina?
And that's a great question, Tony. I have to actually get updated. The biggest one for me is Budda Baker. I think he's going to be down for at least a week or so. I think he's having some surgery on a thumb, and he's been unbelievable. He signed that big contract during the offseason. Toward the end of last year, man, he was flying around like a missile out there, and is picked right up where he left off. I'll check out the injury report, but right now, nothing major other than Budda Baker. I think we're pretty healthy. I think Christian Kirk was out last week for us.
Right.
We'll see whether he's coming back. But then we had Andy Isabella step up and just, golly, I wish I had him on my fantasy team this week, but who saw that coming, But overall, we've been pretty healthy. And, like I said, we're definitely going to miss Budda, but we'll see, obviously you guys, I'm not sure what the status is of McCaffrey, but,
he won't be available this week. We put him on IR, so it's a minimum of 3 weeks, because I think they changed the IR rules for COVID, but right now, there's no reason to rush him back or anything with the way the Panthers are. What happened with Kyler Murray this week?
It was one of those situations, man, where it was and I'm not gonna say everybody was the hype train was out there. Obviously, he's skirting around on the field, and I was talking about it last week when we all play a little video games, and at least in the past I did. You play Madden, and they got that turbo boost button. It looks like the first couple weeks, man,
circle like crazy.
Somebody was hitting that button, and he's made some moves and things, and it's like, wow, man. I just think it got, it was one of those weeks where some not rookie mistakes, but second-year quarterback mistakes. And I will go back to this, and you guys watch this as you follow his career. Mm-hmm. He has a little bit of trouble throwing the ball over the middle of the field, once again, because of his height. And that's why a lot of our attack, and I don't like a lot of our attack is sideline to sideline. When he does throw it on the field, it's usually when he rolls out, so they can kind of create some lanes for him. When he drops straight back and the big trees are in front of him, it's really tough for him to see downfield and some of those defenders are hidden. And that's what I saw this week. There was a couple times his mistakes were he was right in the middle of the pocket, kind of looking but not quite seeing the entire field, let it go, and sure enough, there was somebody who stepped right in front of the path. And I do think that's because he doesn't have that heighted elevation, like a tall statured Brady and some of the others. Obviously, he's quicker than them, but he doesn't have that ability to see the entire field at ease. And that's always going to be a problem for him. And that was just, something that I kind of observed with
that
the picks
first
and
pick,
stuff like that.
That first pick was over the middle, and he had to throw it a hair high, it felt like. And it bounced off the guy's hands and then into the secondary. He threw that one. There was one pass he threw that hit like 4 guys. It looked like he skipped a rock across a lake. But for such a small dude, he's got such a little man. He's just got a cannon though.
He does.
He did run into Okudah, a first round pick in this, and Okudah made some good plays in there. But you guys, DeAndre Hopkins, the giant acquisition for the Arizona Cardinals, the trade, the big deal. What does he mean to this squad? He's on my fantasy team, and this mug gets 10 catches a game.
Man, you talking about a steal. When that trade came down, I thought, I was like, I couldn't see that right, especially because of what we gave away. David Johnson, who, quite honestly, had lost favor.
He's still hurt.
Yeah, and he just wasn't feeling it here. The fans were no longer feeling him. To send him away with a couple picks and get DeAndre, who's quite honestly top 3 at worst as far as wide receiver. Thank you. And to get him, and then not only get him, but he actually signed an extension because he was like, look, I want to be here. I want to be a part of this. And he basically said, this is what I want. No trade clause, no franchise tag. But, man, they locked him up. And I'm telling you, if they can just continue to add around him, and, and obviously we always have Kyler, who's now, we went from Josh Rosen and who was it, Sam Bradford a couple years ago, to now we have our franchise quarterback. We have a legitimate top NFL wide receiver, along with Larry Fitzgerald, the consummate pro, and what he does, except his role is not the number 1 anymore. But I'm gonna give you everything I got on the inside. If we can ever add a solid tight end, continue to establish that running game, and then I always say, always have to put effort into creating a better offensive line. But I mean, the future here looks so bright, and it all revolves around Kyler and DeAndre.
Did DeAndre look at Larry Fitzgerald and say, I see what you did. You've been playing with this team and making all this money with them. I'm just going to do what you do. Good Lord. And then you got to see Larry Fitzgerald versus Adrian Peterson. It was like, and both of these old guys are out there producing this past week. So it's wild. But if I was Larry Fitzgerald, if I was Hopkins, that's the team you want to play for, because they will keep paying you.
Well, 40. The strange thing is, Tony, for the longest time, we've been the organization that wouldn't open up the pocketbook. I mean, it was like they had mothballs in there, man, because they wouldn't, pay certain guys to stay here. And that's why, you lose your Calais Campbells and you run down the list of people that we've lost because they weren't willing to open up the purse. And for DeAndre, that was such a special talent. And remember, too, they also paid Buddha, made him the highest safety, I think, in the league, highest defensive back in the history of the league almost, I think, just earlier in the offseason. So, you can do that sometime when you have a rookie quarterback on his deal. But right now, man, they've decided that we're going to make a go for this and maybe treat players the way they're always supposed to be treated in the first place. Give them a little cash.
Yeah. Well, Tony, you kind of walked into the question I was going to ask about that, because I wanted to talk about DeAndre Hopkins too. So I want to ask it right now while we're still kind of in this conversation. I think DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the NFL. Like, hands down, he puts up the same numbers that all these other players they talk about yards-wise, but the touchdowns as well. He's consistent. He's there every game. Killer trade, like you said. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. Yeah. I want to know how you think the fit is with Kyler and DeAndre, because DeAndre's always been known for me as a touchdown monster. Mm-hmm. I mean, he has multiple seasons. This year he has almost 356 yards, 32 receptions through 3 games. That's a really good average, but only 1 touchdown. Do you think that's going to eventually evolve into being a touchdown monster again? Like, how is their connection for you?
It's
Kyler and
good.
DeAndre.
I like how they're starting short, and eventually, what we have to do, we have to get them some support on the outside. Larry is no longer that dude up the field, and Christian Kirk, for whatever, we just can't figure him out to this point. And obviously, he was injured last week. We have to have a complementary piece on the outside with DeAndre to free up some of those coverages over the top. And once we figure that portion of it out, all this stuff that's short, and then the other part of it is we got to get away from this horizontal game side to side, and we get DeAndre a little more vertical. Whether we have to get Kyler out out of the pockets and stuff like that, but that's where he makes his bread and butter. DeAndre Hopkins can get over the top of just about any defense, and his catch radius is unbelievable. So that's only going to just develop. And once again, I go back to the fact that these guys didn't even have a full off season to do the workouts, do those passing, drills and different things. So it's only going to get better. It's just a matter of time, and it's all going to be a work in the process to start. But like I said, I like the direction they're going, and obviously with the number of balls, you can obviously tell he's looking for
a lot. Yeah,
they have chemistry just based on volume. And to follow up on that question, one thing I've always said is that, or I've been known to say, is that fans and fantasy football has kind of done this to us. We have a sort of recency bias. So there was this idea that DeAndre Hopkins had lost something because last year wasn't the year that he had put up the biggest numbers ever. Right. And I feel like we can get trapped into that idea. And it almost feels like GMs somewhere, at least Bill O'Brien, maybe have gotten trapped into that idea, that recency bias. But just Greg, to make you feel better about the touchdown thing, is he really should have 2 because he got tackled on the 1 in week 1, I think, and his knee was. He got in the end. His knee was down, so he didn't get in. But he should have 2 right now. Right. Do you, Ed? Do you see that recency bias with players around the league?
Oh, absolutely. And Tony, sometimes we forget where these guys are playing. Sometimes too. You're coming from a O'Brien offense that I feel so
schizophrenic.
Sorry for it.
It's schizophrenic.
Yeah. And I feel so sorry for Deshaun Watson. He's always running for his life. They never seem to have what you call a game plan. Then you come over here, and I'm nowhere near ready to give Kingsbury the genius title, but you can at least see he's innovative with what he's doing. And like I said, as long as they stay on that path, DeAndre's definitely going to flourish in this system. And, like I said, like you said, Tony, everybody looks at it's more about stats and not necessarily the fit and like the chemistry and and we always use that word potential, but this one has the potential to be really good for a long time.
Yeah.
And, DeAndre, like I said, the more I see him, the more I'm just like, wow, we really stole that one right there.
Talk to us a little bit about Kingsbury, because I had some reservations about not only college coaches. It's not even the college coach thing. It's just guys that we have a limited sample set. But you guys got better throughout the season last year, right? Is that week to week it felt like the Cardinals were getting better, and it looks like it's organized right now. The defense has gotten better. The offense, it doesn't look like he's in over his head at this point. So just speak a little bit on what Kingsbury's doing.
Yeah, after we went through what we went through a couple of years ago, I thought the franchise was heading into the toilet. You go out and you get a Kingsbury, and I was very skeptical myself when they first hired him, because it was at that period where if you had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay or bumped into him in an elevator, now all of a sudden you were a genius and we got to have you. And it was when they went and hired him away from USC, just like you, I was thinking, look, this dude had a losing record in college. Nothing really impressed me. He was going to USC, and all of a sudden he's our man and we got to have him. And I thought, wow, they really jumped the shark on this one. But what I like more than anything is that he has these guys prepared each week. And I talked before the season, I told everybody, look, I'm not expecting a playoff season. I'm not, maybe we get 6, top out at 7 wins. It looks a little brighter now, but at the beginning of the season, I said, it's not even about winning games. It's about competing every week, showing that you're prepared, and, figuring out a way. Those games that you should win, you win them. The teams that maybe have a little more talent than you, at least stay in the games. And then we start figuring out, week by week, we start winning some of those games that we weren't supposed to. But every week I'm looking for preparedness more than anything. We're going to have your lapses in maybe play calling, or, we have Kyler have a couple miscues this week, but they look good. They look fast. They look like they know what they're doing, and that's the most important thing for me. And it all starts with the head coach. And he also has Vance Johnson as a good secondary guy over there on the defensive side of the ball too.
So let me kind of move this conversation towards the game this Sunday, right? Now, from my perspective, I look at it like I thought the Chargers were going to have a get-right game. I mean, I thought that they were going to come in and Justin Herbert in the second start after going from the Chiefs to the Panthers. Like a lot of us were kind of expecting to lose that game, and then we essentially kind of luck our way into a W. From the rational perspective, it's easy for me to say this right now about the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, I could see how Cardinals fans would look at this like, all right, we got Carolina. This is a get-right game. Yeah, we're on the road. We're going to the East Coast. But, I mean, come on. We got DeAndre Hopkins on Dante. And we honestly don't even know what kind of injury. Dante Jackson's dealing with the injury right now. We don't really know what kind of injury it is. We're assuming that he's going to play. But, man, then outside of that, it's like I don't see us having answers for Christian Kirk and Andy Isabella. You add in one of the craftiest receivers of all time in Larry Fitzgerald, and then Kyler's ability to move and escape pressure. Like, I see it as a recipe for the Cardinals to put up a 30 or 40 burger on us. Like, how are you assessing the Cardinals and their chances going into this game against Carolina on the road?
After the Detroit loss, those are the eye openers. They were kind of feeling their musk a little bit after, going to San Fran winning, and then you polish off a Washington team that I obviously don't think they're very good, but obviously everybody starts getting in your ear, and then you let one slip against Detroit. We should have won that game. Now that's an opportunity for the coaching staff to kind of remind guys, we're not as good as we think we are yet. And if you go over there to Carolina and we're not focused, we'll walk away 2-2. So, for me, I wouldn't call this a get-right game. This, for the Cardinals, this is a get-back-on-track game. And, that kind of aids the coaching staff, like I said, in terms of refocusing the guys. And we're not too deep in the season like that. Not like they were 7-0 or anything like that. But even a 2-0 start after beating San Fran might have had a little, maybe a look-ahead feel for the Cardinals. And I guarantee you coaches are in their ear this week getting them refocused, which, hopefully with a good game plan, we come across and handle our business. But, that Detroit loss was definitely something that piqued the interest of the coaching staff and opened up some eyes in that locker room as well.
We got a question in the chat room that I want to ask you. I know we've kept you past the time I promised you, and I'm thank you for your generosity here. Is the question about this is historically the problem really has been for the Cardinals is the offensive line. Mm-hmm. What's going on there this year? And then I would like to just ask you, how's the defense looking this year?
The offensive line, and they're dealing with the same thing everybody else across the league is no time to work with each other during the offseason. Had a couple guys. I think we lost somebody on the offensive line. I can't remember the name off the top of my head right at the start of the season. So it's like we're still putting pieces together. These guys are still learning how to work together. And there are times when they're going to look really good, but they're going to look really good, Tony, because Kyler Murray makes them look good. He's either escaping or, he feels pressure, gets out of there, and what would have been a sack turns into a 7, 8, 9, 10-yard run or a touchdown or something like that. And they all get credit for that. But when you break down the film, you'll see an offensive unit that is still trying to figure out. We don't have what you call an anchor on either side. We got some mismatched pieces in the middle, but it's going to take time to develop them. But they look better than what I imagined, because after last year, we kind of looked decent toward the end of the year with Kenyon Drake coming in here, but I saw the inefficiencies. But so far this year hasn't been too bad. Defensively, man, when you got Chandler Jones up front and some of the other pieces we have, they can make some things happen. Chandler's taking a lot of double teams right now, but and his numbers are always going to be skewed when he's getting that much attention. But he'll find a way to get his sacks here and there. We got Patrick Peterson on the outside. This is kind of one of those get-right years for him because of everything he's going through over the last couple of years with wanting to be traded 2 years ago, and then all of a sudden, he gets caught with the PED suspension to start last year. He's got the captaincy back on his chest, so he's got a lot to prove. And what I like, Isaiah Simmons is going to eventually fit in there. More than anything, like I said, Vance Johnson has these guys flying around. The loss of Buddha is going to be something that we're going to feel. What I saw earlier is not going to be a long absence. It should be about a week or two. But when he's not back there kind of controlling the back end of that defense and then flying around and making tackles all over the line of scrimmage and beyond, it's gonna hurt us a little bit. But we'll bring a punch this week. It's just without McCaffrey. I mean, I know there are a lot of guys will say, "Wow, we want to play the best," but man, a lot of dudes are like, "Well, he's not gonna be back this week, so." Whew,
Yeah.
That's what happened. I do have another question I think kind of leads off that, and I just want to know, what's your expectations for the Cardinals this year? So, for example, like us Panther fans, and this has been a hot button issue, like what this team actually is, how good we actually are we in the running for one of the big time quarterbacks coming out in the draft or not? What do you feel about this Arizona Cardinals team right now? I know it's early. We've only played 3 weeks of football, but are Cardinal fans kind of feeling like, hey, we might be able to make a legit playoff push or more
Wild
this year?
card. It's going to be tough to catch those Seahawks.
Well, yeah, that and this division in itself, the being in the, Rams are looking pretty good. Seattle, they look phenomenal. And then you got to remember, even though San Francisco's banged up, they're the defending NFC champions. If and when they get healthy, they'll be right there in the mix as well. I started at the beginning of the season, me and my partner Javon on the Believe in Arizona Cardinals podcast, we gave our estimation. I was like, if this is a 6-7 win season, I'm feeling good. And I think I mentioned it early. It's all about how you lose games if you're going to lose them and how you're competing each week. Now, I revised that a little bit because they did come out and they beat San Fran and they look pretty good. They don't look like I thought they would to start the season. If we get the 9 wins, I mean, that for me would be a victory this year. The back end of our schedule is a beast. We've got 2 with Seattle, you got 2 with the Rams, you got 1 more with San Francisco. We got a lot in some tough road games, Dallas and different things. So it's good to get off the mat early and get you a couple in now, because later on in the season, some of them W's might be harder to come by. So to answer your question, Cody, we get the 8-9 wins. Like I said, for me, that's a success. I'm not looking playoffs or anything like that, especially because the NFC is so competitive right now. But like I said, we get in that area, I think we'll be okay. And that's the building block for this year and beyond.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll pass it on to Tony.
We got to let him go. I told him only 20 minutes, and I kept
all
him.
I said, Kyler Murray is an MVP dark horse. I still believe that. That guy's like Sonic the Hedgehog wearing a red jersey. Kyler Murray's a beast. Appreciate you hanging out with us, Ed.
Hey, man, you guys are the best anytime. And I want to have you guys on my show one of these days. We'll do the Believe podcast, but one of these days I want to have you join me on the Saturday show as well, the radio show.
Yeah, can you tell everybody how they can find your the podcast and how often you guys drop the show?
We're on the Believe Network, and Javon and I drop it every Wednesday. We've been doing them Thursdays. We're going to start doing them on Wednesdays, and that's BLEAV. If you go to the Believe podcast, you can check them on Facebook as well. And then I do the radio show out here on 1060 a.m. every Saturday. We hit past the 3.5-year mark in early September. 1060 a.m. KDUS every Saturday from 10 to 12. If you go on Facebook and check out the Easy Sports Talk, you can actually watch the show live on there every Saturday and catch the follow-ups on it as well. We post it on there. So I appreciate you guys, man. You guys are really, really cool, man. It's good to see you guys.
Man, I appreciate it. Thanks
you,
again for your time. All right, guys, that's Ed Smith. You can find him at Ed Smith Speaks on Twitter, and go check out the Believe in Cardinals podcast, because I know you're tired of hearing my voice, so you might as well hear somebody else's voice, because that one is silky. All right, guys, what Mike Vela said in the chat was this. Sounds like he says Carolina going to get beat. That's basically, it sounds like even with injuries, that defense has improved, right, from the past. And Kyler Murray is proving that he belongs. right? Is that there were some concerns. You look at the little Mighty Mouse run, and like, is it going to work? It's working. Kingsbury's getting the team better each week. That's problematic. I think, though, can we make any parallels between the Cardinals and the Panthers? As in maybe a year or two down the road. I mean, obviously, we don't have DeAndre Hopkins and we don't have a number 1 draft pick. It really helped that you bring in Kingsbury and you give him Kyler Murray to start. That makes your life a little easier, right?
It does.
What he was talking about is something that I've kind of been saying is it's about the team getting better throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, and then I'll pass it to Greg. Everybody's dealing with the COVID world, right? And he was talking about not having enough time and preparation. But I think that we should aspire to kind of get on the same path that the Cardinals are on. Like, that's what a rebuild could look like for us. Even if this is a really bad year, I mean, there could legitimately, a year or two down the road, we could really be onto something really good if we're able to get the right quarterback in place and let our coaches feel like they have the type of talent they need on both sides of the football to let them spread their wings.
They got good. They got better fast. Yeah. They went from a talentless team with Steve Wilks. There was zero. Steve Wilks set a record for the most transactions that year. There was not only were they riddled with injury, but all the movement we see on our practice squad, they were doing on the active roster then. Mm-hmm. And then Budda Baker, some things now, but this is what I'm telling you, and we said this in the post-game show, is that if we make some right picks and then if we hit this draft, we hit another draft, and we get one free agent. Look at what DeAndre Hopkins has done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only difference right now between us and them. You're right. We do have the possibility to move forward like they are, and it very well could be, and I hope we do. We just don't have – I don't see Teddy Bridgewater as a Kyler Murray.
Oh, no.
And I don't see anybody on the roster that could be DeAndre Hopkins, even though you're right. It could just be one free agent away, but we're not a big market that signs free agents. People don't want to come to Charlotte.
But we're going to have money next year. We're going to – now, we don't actually know what the salary cap's going to be, so wouldn't it suck? Would it not suck a D if the first time we got money is the first time in the last 10 years the salary cap went down?
Yeah, but it's not going to go down a few million, right? It's not going to go down tremendously. Like, nothing to really –
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess so.
It's based on revenue, though. I think it's based on league revenue is how they calculate it.
Well, there's no fans. There haven't been hardly any fans, so who knows? But
unless they're paying $100 for those cardboard cutouts to sit in the seats of the stadium.
I don't know, and that's a good question. It's a complicated formula, so I don't even know. Maybe the owners actually get all the concessions and stuff like that, and then it's like ticket sales, and I don't know what counts as league revenue versus team revenue. Is that there are, I think, silos where the owner gets straight cash, right? Like, I don't think that the players get a share of the drinks. I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't know the formula, and it's always this complicated. Sure it's this complicated one. Cody, do you got anything to say before we get into the cat calls?
No,
I felt like you were trying to say something. All right. Let's go ahead. Yeah, please.
Positive note on Teddy Bridgewater for everybody who says that I hate him and I can't do it. He had two really nice long passes. One at the end of the third quarter and one in the fourth quarter to close the game out. I was very impressed with. Two deep passes that were perfectly placed. Well, one wasn't perfectly placed, but it was put with only the receiver could get it. So, but two good deep passes, and I want to put that out there. I'm commending him for that. That was very nice. We'll talk about it later.
I'm messaging CK. He left the stream.
Yeah, I know. Do you know?
I didn't know to go stream. I thought he had to go take care of his kid.
To stream.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
All right. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in these cat calls real quick.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Cover me for a second. I gotta take a leak. I've been waiting an hour.
Hey, C3 fam, Panther Nation at large. It's your boy Josh from Matt.
What's up, Josh?
Starting calling for the reaction show, but I'm usually watching games with other people, so I got step away. It's not always exactly easy to get the time to make the call. Anyhow, thoughts on the game. Kind of surprised we pulled that one out. Seemed like the lead kind of blew in our direction, if you will. Things kind of fell to us. But we didn't squander that so much. Petty looked all right. Looked like he, got to uncork his arm once there, and kind of wondering where that is, or I wonder if that not happening so much as a result of things still being very new. Would have liked to have seen him push a little more, get him a little further downfield. Settling for five field goals. I mean, that points to, I know things get tougher the closer you get to the end zone because there's less field for the defense to defend, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But still, that's 5 wasted trips, in my opinion. It's not wasted because you got points, but, defense, wow. Quite the improvement. I'm eager to see some more. I think the defense is going to be what really, really comes into its own first. And it's probably going to be around like week 8 that they really start becoming competent. But it was nice to see us get some pressure today. It was nice to see the takeaways. It was nice to see, some of these guys really, getting it done. What's his name? The hair? Mike Davis, I think it was, or back up there. I don't know. I'm terrible. I should know by now.
Yeah, Mike Davis.
But he looks like a confident, replacement for Christian. I think maybe, we should feature him and Christian in some double back sets because, Christian's got a full route tree when he does get shifted to be a receiver. So I think that's something we could play with. But again, it's early in the season. These guys are all still learning the playbook. And it doesn't matter how experienced you are as a player, it takes time. That's all for. Josh from Matt, signing out, and I'm out of time.
Josh from Mass, great call. He touched on just about everything there, man. He gave us a pretty full assessment of what he thought of the game. I do want to touch on one of the last things that Josh mentioned, and I do hope that when Christian comes back, again, just for the sake of his health, that we continue to not run him like we did last year. Like, I want Christian to have a long career here. I don't mind letting some other backs get some touches, especially if Mike Davis has proven that he could be a good change of pace back and pound the ball in the middle. If our offensive line is up to running the football, yeah, let Christian get some breaks. Let him get some breathers. We want Christian McCaffrey to be his healthiest when this team is at their best. And ideally that's, maybe a year or two from now.
I think just to follow up on that point too, Cody, is sometimes it doesn't even need to be about protecting him. Well, that is important. But also, we should be competent as a football team when he's not out there.
Yeah.
And it feels like this is like you almost know that there's no chance they're going to run it when he's not out. We haven't even seen the team out there without him on it. So it'd be nice just to have different looks to make the defense a little bit more, I've liked some of the things that Joe Brady has done, where he has motioned Christian McCaffrey out, and then motion, like, say, Curtis Samuel into the backfield. I think he did that in week 2 or something like that. And it's just given these looks that say that I think could help extend his career as well. Before we go to the next call, I want to mention this. I just received an email from this guy named Ben Foreman from Amazon. All right? And it says this. He says, "Hi, I oversee sports video content for Amazon Alexa. I'd like to discuss featuring your YouTube channel as part of a pregame show we're developing for the Echo Show devices and Fire TV."
No, all right. All
He's
right.
like, "If you're interested, I've got some questions for you." So I'm like,
Yeah, moving on up.
Ben Foreman smashed the thumbs up button. Why don't you guys? All right, next call.
Hey guys, how's it going? This is Jason. I'm a Panthers fan out from Colorado.
What's up, Jason?
I'm the first time calling. I've been listening for a long time, and I gotta say, I like a lot of the. As much as I do love the long form stuff that you've been doing for a long time, I do also like the introduction of the short form stuff. So I mean, good on keeping on the variety, and I think it's doing great things for the podcast.
Wait until he hears about my Amazon show.
The one thing I always get is, why are you a Panthers fan being out here in Colorado? And so, I guess to break the ice, my Panthers fan story is basically relates to when I first got into football. And it was, I'm being from Colorado, I like the Denver Broncos, but we also had Tim Tebow, and Tim Tebow was really exciting. He was that movie-style leader who could always rally people, and in, I believe it was 2011 or 2012, they had one season where they had, I believe it was like 4 or 5 come from behind overtime victories. And that's just exciting stuff that is hard to reproduce and whatnot. But then, they cut him for Peyton Manning, which, really upset me as a fan. In hindsight, now that I know more about football, it made total sense, but it really pissed me off. And so I was kind of looking around the league trying to find a fandom because I was just getting into football, and I saw that, I was kind of wondering what I thought was important, and I saw that Cam Newton really knew how to have fun. And I think that was one of the things that was kind of missing from the league, and still is largely, but Cam Newton made it fun for everybody. And even Christian McCaffrey said that when he left, that Cam Newton taught me how to have fun. He always thought about it like a business.
That's a great point.
But anyway, that's enough about me. Talking about this week, I got to say, it's hard to imagine what if when we were failing to convert on all these third downs. Cam Newton looked amazing. He got that ground game going phenomenally. And with Rex Burkhead, it's almost, he's kind of the poor man's Christian McCaffrey. It's hard not to wonder what could have been. But, we do have to move on. I understand people got to move on. But also, Teddy, he's missing a lot of short throws. And those are kind of the ones that we really expect him to make. And I understand you're not going to make all of them, but there's some really easy ones that just seem like they could have really contributed to the offense. But one thing that I really thought was a positive is the special teams game. Farrell Cooper, I don't know if you guys saw that, but there was this one punt that he took it from like halfway back through the end zone, and he kind of scouted out how the field looked, and then he took off, and he actually managed to get it out past the 25 to like the 28 or something, but it easily could have been a lot better. And I know that you guys have mentioned.
All right, so here, hold on. Let me see if he called.
That's my Colorado doppelganger right there, man. That guy. Every single thing he mentioned is something I've been bringing up. Yes,
hold on. God, I got too many dang windows open. Let's see. Maybe. Yep, he did call back. So let's hear. We'll just go ahead with it because it is. He was starting to really hit his stride. I like that point about Christian McCaffrey having fun.
But now I know about the time limit on the calls, and I'll keep that in mind moving forward. But Farrell Cooper, great job. Curtis Samuel and Mike Davis, Tony, you called it last week that they were going to split some time in the backfield. And I'm kind of excited to see. I know that a lot of the sweeps were failing this week, but if we do manage to spring one of those free, I think with the misdirection and Curtis Samuel's ability to stay on his feet after contact, I think we could expect a lot of exciting things from that offense. And that being said, I really also expected Teddy to be under more pressure. especially up against the Chargers defensive front. They're really talented. I expected them to have more penetration and for them to get some more sacks and cause some ruckus. But I think that also could speak to the quality of the play calling. I know that it wasn't very flashy, but it did allow him to get the ball out of him being Teddy Bridgewater, to get the ball out of his hands quickly. And it allowed us to keep the defense on their heels. And not to mention Teddy's hard count, which got Joey Bosa a number of times. And really, they managed to keep the defense on their heels, and I thought that was really nice to see them able to take advantage of that. And then the one last point that I was listening to in the after game reaction show was that everything about Shaq Thompson and whether or not he's what we thought he is. But one of the things that I wanted to present is I want you guys to talk about who are the other free agents that were available at the linebacker position and whether or not we could have afforded them with our salary cap situation. But my best impression is that Tahir Whitehead was the best we were going to get, and I really do think he's not very good. He's kind of a one-trick pony, so we have to pin him into a position which he's going to play. Unfortunately, he's middle linebacker, which is an important position, but I don't think he's good enough to have the flexibility to cover different parts of the field. I think Shaq does have that, and even though he might be better in the middle, I think that we have to have them from a liability perspective covering the edges. But anyway, I'll let you go. I love what you're doing with the podcast. Keep pounding. Shout out to Joey the Blind Panther. Wow.
Nice.
What a great call. And you know what Bruce Willis would say?
This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Lady, do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
Want money? What kind of terrorists are you?
Welcome to the party, pal. Welcome to the party, pal. Great call to inaugurate yourself into the C3 Cat Calls line. I think the name that comes to mind about a free agent linebacker would have been Joe Schobert. Schobert. And I don't know, we have to go look and see what he's doing in Jacksonville. But that's a good point is, losing Luke Kuechly. So some of it's not about only Shaq, but some other factors. All right, I'm going to turn the mic over to Greg. Greg, the doppelganger.
Man,
Colorado. Speak on that.
Yeah, he raised a bunch of great points about Cam Newton. He raised a bunch of great points about, where the team's at right now. Asking about linebackers coming in, I agree with you. The Joe Schobert, or Scobert, whatever you say his name, that was somebody I was calling for a long time ago when he was a free agent. But yeah, man, I liked everything he was saying here. He feels like I think that he's kind of in the same position I am, where he's seeing what Bridgewater's doing. I'm impressed with this, with X and this and this and this, but they're still lacking this. I'm not excited about what's going on, but I am not dead to this team right now. Like I don't feel like this team should be tanking. I feel like we were in a position before we did all these changes we didn't need to be tanking. I don't think we need to be now either. But the only problem is a 6-7 win season doesn't do anything for us. All it does is screw our future.
I want to bring up a couple of other components of the call too. Is one that stuck is the special teams.
Yes.
Special teams have really been a nightmare for the Carolina Panthers for the last 6 years. Mm-hmm. And it has not, and I do believe, is Chase Blackburn still on this squad? I believe he's the coach of the special teams that they may have kept him. I'm not 1,000% sure on that. But really it shows you how desperately, I think how good Pharaoh Cooper is. And it's really hard to quantify that. But think, losing Graham Gano, losing Mike Pilardi, this to me speaks a lot to the coaching on special teams, that our special teams has not been a liability, but actually been a pleasant surprise. JJ Redundant J was the game winner for us this last week. And on top of that, he also brought up the offensive line, where you think you should be getting smoked by the Chargers, and we really held our own. And one of the things that is surprising about that is we talked about one is Joey Riolano. What's up, Joe? My brother from another mother, Low Country Cannabis in the chat room. He said Moton's our anchor. Moton played great, and you know what they did is I wondered, they moved Joey Bosa to the other side, trying to take advantage of the Scott guy or Little. And strangely, with all of that, we were not awful. That has been, and you know what is, that kind of raises a question to me. Is John Matsko the most overrated O-line coach in the history of football? Everybody told us this guy was an offensive line whisperer because of Andrew Norwell. But our offensive line has sucked. They've been way better this year. And that's with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how about this? I'm amongst the group that thinks that we need to extend Moat.
I've been saying that he deserves it more than Kurt. Some people were saying Curtis Samuel. I don't think Curtis Samuel's earned it. I'm not saying that he can't be good, but I think Moton has.
Yeah, I'm the Curtis Samuel guy on this show, and I'm signing Taylor Moton before I sign Curtis. Wow. I mean, we can get speed receivers. It's hard to come across competent tackles. It's really hard, man. Look at Greg Little. Oh, he was this, he was that. And now he's a bump on a log already after his second year. Taylor Moton, ever since he's been drafted, I feel like has been very good for us. Right tackle is a very important position because a lot of the best edge rushers in today's NFL line up across from that right side. Taylor Moton went up against Joey Bosa a lot this last Sunday, and he won most of them. I mean, Taylor Moton is a really good tackle, and he's on our football team. And honestly, I think we should have already signed him way before we ever signed Shaq Thompson. But again,
I think he brought up a good point with the Shaq thing, because Shaq was partially a necessity sign.
No, it was, but again, like, what's more of a necessity sign than having a legitimate tackle when you've never?
But we had Moton under contract for another year. That's our thing. Is think about we're talking about how bad our linebacker core is right now. But imagine if you didn't even have a body back there.
True, but think about how much the cost of tackles are going up and up.
And every year, this is why I've always advocated, and what CK kind of brought up in the post-game show about signing Christian McCaffrey a little bit early, essentially, is that when you re-up a guy early, you get today's rate, not tomorrow's. And it's not even, I mean, just think about that, is like with Cam, we extended Cam a year early when we gave him the 5-year deal or whatever. I mean, there was a way you could have pushed it to the wire, but when you push the player you give them more and more leverage. And Moton Moton, they better be trying to lock that up right this second. Because, and you know what, is that right now we're already got our backs in a corner. When it comes to tackle play going forward, is Okung's a 1-year guy, and we know he's old at this point. He's older, and he's not going to be the answer past this year. You're going to have to do something big and special, and I don't know if you want to allocate all your free agency dollars to going and getting a left tackle who is 30 years old and potentially running it would be nice to be able to use a top 5 pick on a left tackle.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask, Moton is a Hurney guy, right?
No, he's a Gettleman guy.
He's a Gettleman guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Which actually turned out to be a good draft. If you think about it, it was Christian McCaffrey, Taylor Moton, Curtis Samuel, and then after that, I don't know if we had anybody that's worthwhile.
I'm interested to go back because I'm not saying by any means or defending Hurney by any means, but I want to go back and look at all of Hurney's good and bad picks versus everybody else we've had and kind of compare those and see in the future. Because when I go back and try to think about it, I can't compartmentalize that in my head, like who drafted who, like who's each one was.
You're gonna find that Marty Hurney is saved. He's saved by his first-round draft picks.
Okay.
Right? Is that if anything, if Dave Gettleman was doomed by his first-round draft picks, Hurney has been saved by his, in theory. And, Gettleman, I thought he was going to be a wonder. That year that we got Ben Wickery, and he was a turnover machine. Like, there were some times, but Hurney has not ever been great in the mid rounds or mid to late rounds, and it hasn't gotten better. And I think Rashawn Golden is really the stamp that says this is terrible. You know, is that Rashawn Golden is not even playing football, I don't think. So that's the one that I think you'll find out. This is at the time we too. Well, no, he's with our team.
He's still playing. He played this weekend.
And he made a good play.
Oh, okay, cool. But
he did a thing. But he's a fifth. But he's like a fifth round.
He said, "Oh, okay, cool."
He's not going to be on our roster in maybe even another year.
Well, God bless him for being on here as long as he is, especially when. And I want to say this is something that I did not approve of both the Dave Gettleman and the Ron Rivera regime, is that for Ron Rivera being a player's coach and this and that, they really knew how to throw a dude under the bus. They threw Ben Wickery comes off a nasty-ass leg injury. In the first game he plays back, you put him on James Bradbury goes out with a toe injury, and then you put him on Julio Jones, and he gets torched for 300 yards, and you're like, and they're like, he's out of shape. Well, no shit, he's out of shape. He's going against Julio. He ain't played any. Right. The same thing happened with Corn Elder. The same exact thing happened. It's like you put him on Julio. What did you think? It was like Mike Evans or DeAndre Hopkins. It was something crazy like that. And you're like, it felt to me like it just slightly unfair. Not that those guys should be bad, right? It's like I'm not trying to excuse bad play, but you can't put – what do coaches, real great coaches, do? They put players in places to succeed. Mm-hmm. And that's a place to fail. Travis Armstrong says Rivera threw Haskins under the bus this past Sunday. I think they both got run over by the same bus, and that bus was named Myles Garrett. Let's go to the next call. The number's 252-228-5098.
Oh, my God. What's up, guys? I was just listening to the breakdown of the post-game show. And I got to the part where, Cody, thank you. Thank you so much. You finally called CK out on the way he pronounces Keekley. He was pronouncing it as though it was spelled Quekley or something like Keekley, like barbecue-cly.
Yeah,
like Keekley, man. Like Keekley, like Keekley.
That's it.
Not barbecue-cly. But anyway, Cody, I just wanted to back you up on that. And I love you too, CK.
Oh, man, what a good I love that call. And it's too bad Barba CK isn't here to hear it. A question to you. Did you see the Kyle Cunningham picture of the barbecue thing? Kyle Cunningham, the guy running for Senate?
Oh, no. I mean,
a lot of debate on this. Is he tried to pull – all right, it's off football topic. Maybe I'll save it for the ice-up pick. All right, let's go to the next call. 252-228-5098. It's the Keat Calls line.
C3, what it do? Boy Mike.
Supreme Leader!
All right, first up, ice up the Falcons. Nothing more to say. All right, moving on. All right, so Cody, me and you secretly, I know it, me and you wanted that loss.
Yeah.
But, we always want our team to win because if we win every game, then we win the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
True. You do want them to win every game.
I mean,
that's a good point.
Hey,
I'm following.
I'm happy. That game, if Tyrod was in, straight up lose. As good as Herbert has been showing, with the potential to be a great quarterback, we would have lost we would have lost this game with all them damn field goals. You don't win with 8 field goals. You win with 8 touchdowns, straight up. But shout out to my man, Big Swole Sly, getting me all them fantasy points. And how about that tackle on my dude on that kickoff return? He stood him up, brought him back, he was like, "Nah, bro, you thought you was gonna run through me? Nah, it ain't going down like that." The chin checker, play wrecker, Mike Tester, Jeremy, 10 plus tackles. Oh, how about that screen he blew up? Oh my goodness. He got up, no celebration.
Love
just
this
was
call.
like, this is
That man
for
fast.
everyone who passed on me in the draft. I love him at the outside linebacker spot. He's so versatile. He could play up in the box, or he could play back in the pass. I mean, that's great. Teddy, here's some stats. He's like top 10 in about all the passing categories. Passing yards, completion percentage, blah, blah, blah. Still, I need him to show some more emotion on that sideline. Reminds me of Cam and the towel years where he would just sulk on the sideline. I need him to get our team in the game like Brady does with his teams. I need him to be more vocal.
This is a good follow-up from the
question
last
for
call.
y'all, who has to step up in order for us to stay competitive, considering it doesn't get any easier for us down the road? That's my question for y'all.
I got my answer. First of all, great.
Panther pride till I die.
My man.
Go.
That's a great call, especially on the follow-up, too, of talking it was Jason, right, from Colorado, who said he fell in love with the emotion of Cam. Is that and Greg, as I said, that he has been, Bridgewater's been emotionless, right, in so many ways. And then he heard this kind of stupid narrative that Teddy plays angry. That's what they kept saying on the broadcast or whatever. I have a one that you're not going to agree with and the fans aren't going to like about the player who needs to step up.
All right. You want to go first? Or
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. You're going to be surprised because everybody thought he was a player of the game. Brian Burns. I went back and watched the tape. And when I say watch the tape, I just watched a condensed version. I wasn't like taking notes and, and again, I am an expert fan, not a football expert. But I saw Brian Burns. What I saw and if you follow WFNZ, Mac, Chris McLean, Panther, he loves the Panthers more than anybody. He gets so excited about everything. He was like, hey, you can't stop. Brian Burns killing him with this speed rush. And yes, well, first, that's Brian Burns' main asset, number one. But when I went back and looked at, or I just happened to glance over and see him causing these fumbles, part of it was caused by Justin Herbert not climbing the pocket. So if you get a quarterback who drops back like that, and by the way, Herbert kind of has some of the same problems that Cam does, and that is when you're 6'5", your drop back is pretty deep. Right?
Yeah.
And so that helps a speed. How do you really negate a speed rush to the outside? Or at least from what I've seen, a lot of these tackles they're not as fast. But what they do is they find a way to keep them outside and deep. And if the quarterback climbs the pocket, then it's a way to kind of negate the effectiveness of that. What Herbert did not do on those plays was move. He dropped back and stayed back, kind of Cam-esque at a point. And I need Brian Burns to develop more than one move.
Well,
I'm not saying he can't be it. I can't be it. But is that you can't look at two plays where he did the same exact thing and say it's because he's only narking these dudes. Some of it is Justin Herbert not climbing the pocket.
Some of it, yes. But then there were also moments when they did climb the pocket where Burns hit him on the arm. Damn near could have bat the ball out.
There was only 2 times. There were 2 times. There were 2 times it happened.
Well, but then there were, okay, but it's not just those 2. It was also the other plays that he affected with his pressure. So this is what I'll say. So there is some credence to what you're saying. Like, it's going to be harder for Brian Burns to get his hand on Kyler Murray than it is Justin Herbert, just because Kyler's elusive, he's smaller. He's a speed guy. But again, you also saw edge play help contain a mobile quarterback. When if any of you watch Monday Night Football, the Chiefs they sealed the edges. They did not let Lamar escape on the outsides. So I do agree with you, Tony, but it's not about the pass rush. I want to see him to continue to set that physical edge.
Which we saw an improvement. We saw improvement, but I think he's going to have to elevate even more. I don't think we can just say, look, it's here right now.
Okay. So I'm going to give you my player that I think needs to elevate their game.
All right.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater. Because, listen, man, like Greg gave props to Teddy on those deep passes in the third and fourth quarter. And by the way, I did the same thing. I do it whenever Teddy throws a deeper pass. I think the deeper passes that he has thrown have looked nice. It doesn't look indicative of a quarterback that can't do it. I want to see more of it, and I want to see Teddy Bridgewater just be more willing to push the football down the field, make some dynamic plays. Like, you're not going to be able to dink and dunk. I mean, let's show that we can get up to an early lead against our opponents, hitting all areas of the field. I mean, if Teddy's having a problem doing that early in the football game, then we need to know why. Is it on the coaching staff not calling it because they don't trust him enough to do it? Or is Teddy just not hitting those plays, not seeing them open? Or is he just reticent to take that deep shot? I don't know what it is, but I want to see a more aggressive Teddy Bridgewater. I'm waiting for him to shut me up.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. That's the exact same point that I'm at. And I want it to happen. I really do. I want him to shut me up. I want him to have a great game. I want to ask you, though, he did have some more deep passes in this game than he has in the previous two. Do you think that had to do with coverage, with him getting more comfortable with the scheme, or with the lack of Christian McCaffrey having that safety blanket underneath?
I mean, it could be a number of things. And then we've seen Teddy Bridgewater even on Twitter before the season starting fights with fans and shit. So maybe it's possible that he's even seeing people criticizing him for not doing it. I think another thing is that I'm willing to give him some leeway on is that, again, not having the amount of preparation time due to COVID. Maybe it's just taking him a little longer to find that rhythm and find that confidence. Maybe he doesn't trust his protection. It could be a number of things. But I am happy that Supreme Leader brought up that point. Cam Newton detractors have been trying to say how bad of a leader he is for years now. And yet Teddy Bridgewater knows that there's a large portion of the fan base that isn't happy that he's our quarterback. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you be going out of your way to ingratiate yourself to not only your teammates, but your fan base? Dude, you know how much I would love Teddy if I saw him got mad on the sideline and pissed off? Is that?
But I don't want him to be somebody he's not either. Is that he might be not Teddy, not too high, not too low.
I want to see at least some emotion. You don't have to be Tom Brady flipping out, throwing your helmet, but I want to see you be the leader of the football team.
Yeah, I think for me, one other last point, then we'll move to the next call is the Jeremy Chin. With the chin check. What's interesting is following up on Ed Smith from the Believe in Cardinals podcast, talking about some of the limitations that maybe Isaiah Simmons is trying to face with a lack of preparation, and that they're trying to ease him in a way. It shows you too, maybe Chin is the diamond in the rough here, because he doesn't have that luxury. And he is, and then also the stupid Pro Football. What is it? Did you see them rate him as one of the worst players or something? What is it?
Yeah, man, they had him as one of their least ranked defenders. I don't know if it was in all the NFL, but it was at least on
the
game
Panthers
or something. Yeah, and dude, the more and more time goes on, the less and less I value what PFF have to say. I normally like their defensive line and offensive line stats. I think they're pretty good on that. They match up with what I see at least. But, dude, when you look at how we're using him and the plays that he's making and how fast he is, like, dude, I don't understand how anyone looks at that and says, oh, man, that's one of the worst.
Especially as a rookie on that team. As a rookie on that team. It didn't the eye test. I tell you, I don't know what I'm looking at all the time. Like, I don't know the exact formations and this and that. But I can tell you the eye test. And the eye test tells you a lot. And yeah, it's exactly. All right, next call.
What up, C3? This is Ryan from Tucson.
What's up,
I'm
Ryan?
calling to pick on Cody again.
Okay.
And Greg a little bit. I'll be a little more polite because last time I was reacting post-game type crap, but, you know, Cody said that Baldy had broke down Derek Brown and talked about how he got blown up on a line of scrimmage, and that wasn't true. There's no video out there of Baldy breaking down anybody as the Panthers. It's unfortunate, Cody, that you keep talking about keeping 100, but you're not keeping it 100 because you just got this bias filter. You really do, dude. You got a bias filter and you're not looking at the team properly. This whole tank for Trevor or win the Super Bowl crap's a loser mentality. It really is.
As opposed to what?
Said Teddy Bridgewater is only targeting Robbie Anderson, but DJ Moore has more targets than Robbie Anderson does in the last 2 out of 3 games. For the exception of this last game where I think he had 4 targets and Robbie Anderson had 6. I mean, the ball's being distributed pretty evenly. And I'm not one of the guys that thinks Teddy Bridgewater is going to be a franchise guy, but he's a pretty damn good quarterback. And it's good to lay a foundation for a team. This whole tank for Trevor crap is stupid, dude. It's just stupid.
You have yourself.
Some bias.
If you're laying a foundation,
give Jeremy Chin some credit. Like he is, let's just put it this way: Isaiah Simmons is Jeremy Chin light. 27 tackles, couple quarterback hits, tackle behind line of scrimmage, and you do know that he sidelined 2 players from tackling him and hitting him so hard. He's the one that kicked the freaking rookie wide receiver from Oakland out of that game, and he also forced the Chargers to call a timeout because he knocked the wind out of Justin Herbert. Guy's balling out right now. He's playing really well. Derek Brown's a solid player, dude. 4 tackles for loss, couple batted passes. He's not going to be a freaking Aaron Donald, maybe a Vita Vea. He's just going to be clogging up the run and not having sexy numbers. But you guys are just...
No, he's been good, man.
You guys are
he's
all
just had some penalties.
Man. And by the way, CK, go on YouTube. Cam Newton was being a pussy in Super Bowl 50. He defended himself in a tweet in an interview. Just do your research.
No,
Cam Newton
he was not
being
a pussy. Here,
I'm happy that Cam Newton's gone. I'm also happy that he's with Bill Belichick. And the reason I'm happy is because I watched the whole game against the Raiders, and I got to see, Cam Newton was struggling. He was pressing passes. He was throwing in double coverage. He wasn't playing very well.
No idea.
He wasn't playing well to start.
With Bill Belichick.
But nobody on the whole team was playing well.
He's something like that, and he won't just say, all right, Cam Newton, let's run you 15, 20 times a game, and we need you to make something happen. Belichick is going to scheme around that and protect Cam Newton, and he's going to get the best out of Cam Newton. And I appreciate it, man. Could you imagine Cam Newton being drafted by somebody like Andy Reid, what his career would look like? Because he understands how to build a team, and I really blame Ron for what he put Cam Newton through, man. He put that dude through hell in the NFL. And that's why I'm glad he's with Bill Belichick. But this whole tanking for Trevor nonsense is just stupid, dude. I mean, you guys do realize
All right,
that.
so I'm going to go ahead and stop the call there. Thanks, man, Ryan from Tucson, Arizona. He's close to Isaiah Simmons. I think we've actually unraveled some of the Isaiah Simmons versus Jeremy Chin discussion. And nobody's been higher on Jeremy Chin than Cody Lashley.
Yeah,
from the beginning. So let's go back and let's talk about that. Respond to
the quarterback. Yeah, let's talk about the quarterback thing. Tanking for Trevor is so stupid. But yet, by your own words, you say that you don't believe Teddy Bridgewater is a franchise quarterback. Okay, so then how are you laying the foundation, like you claim we're doing, if we don't have a franchise quarterback? More importantly, why in the shit would you not want one of the most pro-rated quarterbacks to ever come out of the NFL on this football team? Yeah, I'm a Clemson fan, but I'm also not a fucking moron either, dude. Nobody wants this team to be handicapped because we have someone under center that isn't hitting every level of the field, that isn't going to give your team a chance to win when the game is on the line. That's what we're saying. That if we had a chance to get one of those quarterbacks, be it Lawrence, Justin Fields, or Trey Lance, that we would be dumb not to jump on that. And if we're going to say that this is a year where we're going to build on something, or we're going to go 8-8, bro, you're just accepting the mediocrity that you're given because that's what you've been taught to do as a Panther fan. Now you're doing the same thing where you're like bringing up the Super Bowl in an effort to shit on Cam Newton. Like, he is the only reason that this football team has been relevant for the past decade, bro. So yeah, we're being honest.
And the defense was good for about 5 years. They were like top rated.
The defense was incredible, but Cam Newton put us on the biggest stage in football.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that I do think that people were too hard on Derek Brown to start, right? But he's had some problems with him, penalty problems. He's fine, man. I've been completely happy with that. I'm happy with the Brown Chin draft picks. Super happy with that. I just think let's not say Teddy's a damn good quarterback. That's a little far too.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
it's just a little far. And I think you guys are a little hard on Teddy because you probably need him to be better than he probably can be. And that's
not far off. That's a fair statement because I think that we need better from that position if we're ever going to be a football team that's worth the damn.
So we couldn't get our quarterback this year. It was out of reach. You know, I mean, like maybe we could have done some things. It was Tua, or it was Trevor, what's his name? Justin Herbert. A little out of our reach. Is that what we would needed to probably give up? And in fairness to Cody too, is what happens when your top prospect in like a decade coincides with your favorite team. It's kind of hard not to be like so excited and gushing. It's kind of like Tony and Dunn and Cam. And yes, Cam didn't have a fantastic game to start, but last time I checked, that team easily handled the Raiders in the end, and Cam made some big plays in doing it. Was he dealing the dimes? Yeah. And you know what? And what did you say in the post game, Cody? Is that I think it was the post game or his last week. Is that you're happy that Cam Newton's with? Like you're happy for him?
Yeah, because one, they have a coaching staff that's going to put them in positions to win football games no matter what. And let's also say this: Cam Newton is having to do something similar, not to the same degree, but he's having to do something similar up there in New England that he had to do down here. They don't have a deep threat. They don't have receivers that create a great deal of separation. I mean, they just don't. So Cam Newton, that's why his numbers against Seattle were so impressive, because he was dropping dimes all over the football field. And then, he's going to miss some throws. Cam Newton's going to try and make a play happen and then throw a boneheaded interception. You know that Cam Newton is going to do that from time to time. But so what? The benefit to having him on your football team, I mean, listen, they're one goal line play away from being an undefeated football team right now. And their offense runs through Cam Newton. They ask him to do absolutely everything. They're running him the ball on first down, on third down, on goal line situations. They're asking him to drop back. Like, for people to now just shit on Cam Newton.
Nobody's shitting on. Yeah, and I think that, and we don't want to, is that I automatically stop listening when anybody talks about Cam's toughness.
Yeah.
I just stop listening at that point because I'm not ready. Like, it's like that. Is that even in the Super Bowl? I didn't even see. Is that okay? Did you want him to try to dive on. Okay, maybe, yeah. But, like, I also didn't want him to get fucking wrecked the whole game by Von Miller. So, is that, I don't know. Cam put his body on the line for us. I just never felt like Cam gave half.
Right. He always gave 100%. And here's the thing, too, is for people trying to make the arguments about Cam Newton versus Teddy Bridgewater, which I think is a dumb argument anyway. It's not fair. Teddy Bridgewater, if you look at his stats this year, has 100 more passing yards than Cam Newton. Okay? Yep. Same amount of passing touchdowns, same amount of interceptions, but Cam has 4 more rushing touchdowns. Cam has 150 or 125 more rushing yards. And Cam has a 2-1 record that could 1 play away, 1 yard away from being a 3-0 record. And Teddy is 1-2. And the reason we won the game that he won was not because of him. It was because of another player, Billy Sly, kicked 5 field goals. So that's the difference. Now that's what I'm saying when I talk about those two in this season. You know?
Yeah. And all right. Look, we've been through enough of this. Is that I think this is that I'm ready to give this coaching staff and all these rookies, I won't say a pass. It's not a pass. But is that here? I'm not going to make any judgments other than positive ones at this moment because that's all I've seen. It's like, look, is Derek Brown? Did he make week 1? All right, it was the first game. Did he make some plays and some that he didn't make? Sure. Did he have some penalties in week 2? Yep. But he played very well in week 3, so I'm happy with that. The coaching staff I've been happy with. I've been pleased with. But reserve all judgments for all players and coaches for 3 years. That's basically what it will come down to. Sure. All right, let's get the hell out of here, though. It's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Let's ice some fools up real quick. Ice up picks. Who's got one for me?
I had a video, but it probably I'm not gonna make you grab a video right now. But I will talk about it though. In Orange County, Florida, a man was on the 417, and he posted a YouTube video of his dash cam, and he's driving his car, and all of a sudden, homeboy pulls out a pistol and starts shooting through his own windshield at another car.
Oh my God!
And remember, this is the guy, and he has a passenger in the passenger seat with him who's like freaking the fuck out. You can find video on this. Rex Chapman tweeted it out on Twitter. But the driver claims that the reason that he started doing it was because this guy, he was in the Nissan, bumped his bumper and then went around in front, drove in front of him, put his arm out the window, and the driver had a gun in his hand. So this dude driving the car thinks that, oh, the guy in the car ahead of me is about to, he's about to have some next level road rage. So this guy literally pulls out his gun and starts shooting at the car, busting out his own windshield. And you might be asking, okay, well, Cody, who are you icing up? I'm icing up Florida, bro. This is the most Florida story I've ever heard of. I mean, that's the state where shit like this happens, man. Where, dude, you can get pissed off one day and murder someone in a fit of road rage. Now, no one died, but dude, like, is it worth losing your life on the road just because someone pissed you off for, some bumper to bumper crash on the interstate? It's like, man. People's priorities are so messed up. So to people getting into highway gunfights, ice up, son.
Greg, you got one for us?
Yeah, mine's real simple. I'm icing up gatekeepers of any kind, any fashion. There's absolutely no reason why you should feel like you have the determination to tell somebody of any fashion of what they like or how much they enjoy something. You can never get into their mind, and everybody has different opinions. And that's the beauty about life is in sharing opinions with people is getting different viewpoints and different perspectives, thinking about things you didn't think about because there is a different idea out there about things. So for anybody who decides they're a gatekeeper and tries to tell people that, you can't consider yourself this because you didn't go through this or blah, 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 or haven't read this, so you can't be a fan of this. Ice up, because you have no right to tell people what they're a fan of and what they're not. So, gatekeepers, ice up.
My ice up pick goes to Georgia State football program and their testing. They had to cancel their game against Charlotte this past week because there was a COVID outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turns out it was, according to them, human error in the testing, and they misread the results. So they went back and did all the tests again the same day, retested the same ones, and nobody had COVID. Now, I'm not saying that COVID doesn't exist and all of that, but what I'm saying is this, is that when you're testing that heavily and you can't even do the test right. Oh, my goodness.
We haven't even talked about the Titans, did we?
I did mention that, it's because that, like, some people, but I guess they supposedly have, well, not supposedly, there's like 5 people on the team. Finally, somebody in the NFL got COVID. The NFL was like the only COVID-less entity in the world. Here's one too, Greg, for you, and that is because you're an NBA fan. I'm icing up officiating in the NBA that make it intolerable to watch. I was watching the Lakers game the other night, and they called fouls. They gave LeBron an and one, and he was like at half court and dunked it. Like, it didn't make sense. They call fouls in the NBA that don't exist, and it makes it not even fun to watch to me.
You're right.
So,
yeah.
Ice up. Anything else real quick? Let's get the hell out of here.
No, good.
That's it, man.
C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. 252-228-5098. Check out my new Amazon TV show debuting soon, and Professor's Picks on Wednesday, Scouting the Enemy on Thursday, or scouting this week, scouting the Cardinals. I got to find a guest because we had a good one already. Cody, at Cody Lack, CODYLAC, and what's your podcast?
The Cripple Connection podcast, where me and my man Jeffrey break down all the news in the video game industry. Check it out on my YouTube channel, Cody Lashney. Tony already gave you the Twitter. That's me. Come holler at me. I know you want to. Tell me why I'm a bad fan and don't know shit about football. I enjoy it now.
Greg, the Man of Many podcast, how can they find your work?
Oh, man, just check me out at the BetDaddy52 on Twitter. You can find just about everything I'm on. But if you want to get into some of my shows, check out the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Podcast Network. That's the Twitter handle at GAU Pod Network. And just about any podcast catcher you can find. Dropping shows like 4 days a week now, sometimes 5, depending. I recorded every day last week, like 2 Sunday, 1 Monday, 2 Tuesday, 1 Wednesday, 1 Thursday, 1 Friday, 1 Saturday. It was pretty crazy.
Thanks for giving us your time tonight, man. Appreciate it. All the people in the chat room, we love your support, and we'll see you next after the game on Sunday.